They tore through her belongings like hyenas at a carcass. My cousin Brielle squealed when she found the pearl necklace. Finally, she promised me this years ago. My uncle wrapped the gold watch around his wrist without even cleaning it first. My aunt was already texting a realtor about the beach house, acting like the keys were already hers. The lawyer sat at the head of the dining table, reading names from the will with the enthusiasm of someone ordering takeout. Everyone got something. The furniture, the jewelry, the property, the stocks. Then he slid a plain white envelope across the table to me. No box, no weight, nothing. Just my name written in Grandma's shaky handwriting. Brielle smirked at my aunt. They didn't even try to hide it. Poor Lena. Guess Grandma left you her shopping list. Laughter exploded around the table. Loud, cruel, wine-soaked laughter that made my face burn. I opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a single piece of paper. 3 sentences in Grandma's perfect cursive. If they're laughing, they've already lost. Follow the recipe. Trust no one but yourself. I didn't understand. Not yet. But I folded it carefully and slipped it back into the envelope while they celebrated their stolen fortune. My name is Lena Cross. I'm 28 years old, and I just inherited a mystery. Grandma Rosalie raised me after my parents died in a car accident when I was 9. She worked as a baker in our small town, never married again after Grandpa died, and lived in the same small house for 40 years. Everyone thought she was poor, struggling, just getting by on Social Security and her small pension. They were wrong. I sat on the edge of my childhood bed that night, staring at the note. The house was quiet now. My relatives had taken what they wanted and left, probably already planning how to spend their inheritance. Follow the recipe. Grandma had thousands of recipes. Handwritten cards, torn magazine pages, notebooks filled with her careful notes. She'd been collecting them since before I was born. I walked to her kitchen, still smelling faintly of cinnamon and vanilla. Her recipe box sat on the counter, the same wooden box she'd used my entire life. I opened it, hands shaking. On top was a card I'd never seen before. Not a recipe, just 3 words in red ink. Start with Monday. Underneath it, a small brass key taped to the back. I had no idea what it opened, but I knew one thing for certain. Grandma had left me something they couldn't steal. Monday. I turned the word over in my mind all night. What did it mean? The next morning, I went back to Grandma's house before anyone else showed up. My aunt had already hired someone to clear out the furniture. I had maybe 2 days before everything disappeared. I searched her kitchen systematically. Drawers, cabinets, behind the refrigerator, under the sink. Nothing. Then I remembered. When I was little, Grandma had a routine. She baked specific things on specific days. Monday was always bread day. I pulled out her old cookbook, the one with the cracked spine and butter stains. Flipped to the bread section. There, tucked inside the page for her famous sourdough, was another note. The safety deposit box is under the name Beatrice Hammond. The key is in your hand. The bank is where we always went for your birthday. Beatrice Hammond. That was Grandma's maiden name. The one she hadn't used in 50 years. First National Bank. 3 blocks from the ice cream shop where she took me every year on my birthday. I stared at the brass key in my palm. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. I walked into First National at 9 the next morning, trying to look casual. The woman at the desk smiled professionally. How can I help you? I need to access a safety deposit box. Under Beatrice Hammond. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. She frowned. I'll need to see identification and verify authorization. I showed her my ID. Lena Cross. I'm her granddaughter. She passed away last week. The woman's expression softened. I'm so sorry for your loss. One moment. She disappeared into the back. I waited, every muscle in my body tense. What if this was nothing? What if Grandma really had just left me a note? The woman returned with a manager, a gray-haired man in a crisp suit. Ms. Cross, I'm James Whitmore. Your grandmother added you as an authorized user on this box 3 months ago. I'll take you back. 3 months ago, right after her cancer diagnosis, the one she never told the family about. He led me through a heavy door into a room lined with metal boxes. Found the right number. Slid the key in. The box was small but heavy when he pulled it out. Take your time, he said, leaving me alone. I lifted the lid with shaking hands. Inside was a thick manila envelope and a USB drive. I didn't open the envelope at the bank. Some instinct told me to wait, to be somewhere private, somewhere safe. I drove to the library, found a computer in the back corner, and plugged in the USB drive. One folder, labeled for Lena. Inside were scanned documents, hundreds of them, property deeds, stock certificates, bank statements, all in Grandma's name or variations of it. I clicked on the first deed, Beach House, the one my aunt was already planning to sell. Except the deed showed it wasn't in the estate at all. Grandma had transferred it to a trust 3 years ago. The Rose Cross Trust. Beneficiary, Lena Marie Cross. My hand was shaking so badly I could barely scroll. More deeds. The lake cabin everyone thought she'd sold decades ago. Still hers. Now mine. A commercial property downtown. Rented to 3 businesses. Monthly income, $12,000. Stock portfolios worth over $2 million. And at the bottom of the folder, a video file. I clicked it. Grandma's face filled the screen. She looked tired but determined, sitting in her kitchen with the window light behind her. "Hello, my darling girl," she said. "If you're watching this, I'm gone. And I imagine your aunt and uncle are celebrating. Let them. They have no idea what's coming." I watched the video 3 times. Grandma explained everything. How she built her wealth slowly over 40 years, investing the small inheritance from her parents, buying properties when they were cheap, being smart and quiet about money. "I never told them because I knew what would happen," she said on screen. "They'd see me as a bank, not a person. They'd fight over everything before I was even cold." She'd spent the last 3 years moving everything into trusts and accounts they couldn't touch. The will they just read? It was real but incomplete. The small stuff, the furniture and jewelry, that was all they'd ever get. Everything else was mine. But there was a catch. "They're going to fight you," Grandma said. "They'll say I was senile, that you manipulated me, that I didn't know what I was doing. So I've left you evidence. Everything you need to prove this was my choice, my plan, and my final act of love." The video ended with her looking straight into the camera. "Don't let them make you small, Lena. You're stronger than they think. Than you think. Show them." I sat in the library until closing, making copies of everything, saving it to 3 different drives. By the time I walked out, I wasn't scared anymore. I was ready for war. My aunt called the next morning. "Lena, honey, we need to talk about the house. The realtor wants to schedule showings this week." I was stirring coffee, perfectly calm. "What house?" "The Beach House, obviously. We're splitting the sale 3 ways. You'll get your share, don't worry." "Aunt Simone, that house isn't part of the estate." Silence, then a laugh. "What are you talking about?" "Grandma transferred it to a trust. It's not yours to sell." Her voice went cold. "That's impossible. I have the will right here. Check the property records. It's public information." I hung up before she could respond. Within an hour, my phone exploded. Texts from Brielle. Calls from my uncle. A voicemail from my aunt's lawyer. I ignored all of them. Instead, I drove to the beach house. My beach house. Used the key Grandma had left in the envelope. The place was exactly as I remembered. Light blue walls. Windows facing the ocean. The porch where Grandma taught me to read. I walked through every room, touching the furniture, the curtains, the frames on the walls. This was mine. Really mine. And they couldn't take it. The lawyer's letter arrived 3 days later. Contest of estate. Claims of undue influence, mental incompetence, fraud. They were suing me for everything. I called the number on the USB drive. The one Grandma had labeled your lawyer. Helena Pierce answered on the second ring. "You must be Lena. I've been expecting your call. You knew about this? Your grandmother hired me 6 months ago. Paid me a retainer to handle exactly this situation. How much trouble are they giving you?" "They're saying she was incompetent." Helena laughed. Actually laughed. "Perfect. That's exactly what Rosalie said they'd claim. Which is why we have medical evaluations from 3 different doctors confirming her full mental capacity. Dated 1 month before she died. Video recorded. Notarized. She thought of everything. She loved you. And she was furious at them. This isn't just about protecting you, Lena. This is about making sure they face consequences for 40 years of treating her like a piggy bank. Helena scheduled a meeting for the next day, told me to bring everything. When I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. And something sharper. Justice. The family meeting was exactly as horrible as I'd expected. My aunt sat at the head of the table like she owned the place. Brielle kept texting, barely looking up. My uncle paced by the window, already angry. Their lawyer, a thin man with cold eyes, laid out folders in front of him. Let's be clear about something, he started. Rosalie Cross was elderly and sick. She was vulnerable to manipulation. We believe Lena took advantage of that vulnerability to illegally obtain assets that rightfully belonged to the entire family. Helena didn't even blink. Do you have any evidence of that? The timing is suspicious. The sudden changes to trusts and deeds, all made while she was dying. Helena slid a folder across the table. These property transfers began 3 years ago. Here's the documentation. All legally executed. All witnessed. All while Mrs. Cross was in perfect health. She pulled out another folder. Here are medical evaluations from Dr. Raymond Pierce, Dr. Carol Huang, and Dr. Stephen Foster. All three confirmed Rosalie Cross was of sound mind and body when she made these decisions. All three evaluations were video recorded. Would you like to watch them? The lawyer's jaw tightened. Helena wasn't finished. We also have recordings of Rosalie explaining her reasoning. She specifically mentions being concerned that her family would contest her wishes, which is why she documented everything so thoroughly. My aunt's voice was ice. This is ridiculous. She was my mother. Then maybe you should have acted like it, I said quietly. They didn't drop the lawsuit. I hadn't expected them to. But Helena filed a counter-motion. Harassment. Frivolous litigation. Demanding they pay my legal fees if they lost. The court date was set for 6 weeks out. In the meantime, I moved into the beach house. Officially. Changed the locks. Had the utilities transferred to my name. Brielle showed up 2 days later with her boyfriend, trying to use the old key code. When it didn't work, she pounded on the door. I opened it but didn't invite her in. What the hell, Lena? This is family property. No, it's my property. Check the deed. Grandma would be ashamed of you. That one hurt. But I kept my face neutral. She left me a note saying I'd know what to do. I'm doing it. A note? A stupid note. And you think you deserve everything. I deserve what she chose to give me. Just like you got what she chose to give you. Brielle's boyfriend pulled her back. Come on. This isn't worth it. As they drove away, Brielle screamed out the window. You'll regret this. But I wouldn't. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't backing down just to keep the peace. The first hearing was brutal. Their lawyer painted me as manipulative, greedy, a predator who'd taken advantage of a sick old woman. My aunt cried on the stand. Actual tears, talking about how much she loved her mother, how close they were. It was a performance. A good one. But Helena was better. She played the first video. Grandma, sitting in her kitchen, looking directly at the camera. I know my daughter will cry. She's good at that. She cried when she asked me for money for her third house. Cried when she needed me to co-sign a loan she never paid back. Cried at her father's funeral, then asked me that same day if she could have his watch. The courtroom went silent. Grandma continued, I love my family, but I will not reward people who only saw me as a resource. Lena stayed with me when I had nothing to give. She sat with me during chemo when everyone else was too busy. She earned this, not because she asked, because she cared. The video ended. The judge looked at my aunt, Mrs. Simone Cross-Wellington. Did you visit your mother during her cancer treatment? My aunt's face went pale. I didn't know she had cancer. She didn't tell you? No. Helena stood. Your Honor, I have phone records showing Rosalie called each of her children multiple times in the months before her death. Most calls went to voicemail. The judge made a note. Continue. Helena called me to the stand next. Ms. Cross, how often did you see your grandmother in the last year of her life? 3 to 4 times a week. I helped her with groceries, drove her to appointments, spent time with her. Did she ever ask you to change her will or transfer her property? No. I didn't know about any of this until after she died. The note was my first clue. The note that was read in front of the entire family? Yes. What did it say? I pulled it from my pocket, hand steady now. If they're laughing, they've already lost. Follow the recipe. Trust no one but yourself. Did you understand what it meant? Not at first, but Grandma loved puzzles. She'd been leaving me clues my whole life, teaching me to look deeper, to not take things at face value. Helena smiled. And what did you find when you followed those clues? The truth. That she'd planned this for years. That she wanted me to have security, stability, and freedom. And that she knew exactly what her other family members would do. Their lawyer objected. The judge overruled. By the time I stepped down, I could feel the tide shifting. This wasn't a case about money anymore. It was about who actually showed up. The judge's ruling came 2 weeks later. After reviewing all evidence, medical records, witness testimony, and video documentation, this court finds that Rosalie Cross was of sound mind when she executed her estate plan. Her wishes were clear, documented, and legally binding. My aunt gasped. The contest is denied. All costs are awarded to the defendant. This includes legal fees and damages for harassment. Helena squeezed my hand under the table. The judge wasn't finished. I will add that this court is disturbed by the claims made against Ms. Lena Cross. The evidence shows she was a devoted granddaughter who asked for nothing and received everything because she earned it through years of love and care. He looked directly at my aunt. Sometimes the hardest pill to swallow is realizing we didn't do enough. That's not your granddaughter's fault. That's yours. Court dismissed. My aunt left without looking at me. Brielle was crying. My uncle's face was red with rage. But Helena was grinning. You did it. We did it. No, honey. Rosalie did it. She just made sure you had everything you needed to finish the fight. Outside, I stood on the courthouse steps and breathed in the cool air. I'd won. Completely. The legal fees they owed me were enough to renovate the beach house. I hired contractors, updated the kitchen, refinished the floors, made it mine while honoring everything Grandma had loved about it. Brielle tried to add me on social media. I blocked her. My uncle sent an email asking if we could move past this. I deleted it. My aunt sent nothing. Just silence. Fine with me. I spent my days managing the rental properties Grandma had left me. It turned out she'd been a genius at real estate, buying when prices were low, holding until values climbed. The income was more than I'd made in 2 years at my old job. I quit. Started my own small business doing exactly what I loved, baking. Grandma's recipes, her techniques, her love baked into every loaf. I called it Rosalie's legacy. On opening day, I placed her photo behind the counter. Her smile, her apron, her hands covered in flour. This is for you, I whispered. And I swear I felt her there, proud and smiling. 6 months after the court ruling, I got a call from an unknown number. Is this Lena Cross? Yes. Who's this? My name is Patricia Morgan. I'm a journalist with the Tribune. I'm working on a story about inheritance disputes and elder care. Your case came up in my research. Would you be willing to talk? I hesitated. What kind of story? One about people who actually showed up. About families who forget that love is action, not words. Your grandmother's story is remarkable. The way she protected you, documented everything, made sure the truth came out. I thought about Grandma, about the note, about everything she'd done to make sure I'd be okay. Yes, I said. I'll talk. The article ran 2 weeks later. Front page. Photos of Grandma and me. Quotes from the court case. Helena's commentary on how many elderly people face similar battles. The headline. The note that changed everything. It went viral. Within days, people were sharing their own stories. Other grandchildren who'd been cut out. Elderly people who'd been manipulated by family. My bakery got a flood of customers. People who wanted to support me, who wanted to thank me for speaking up. I hadn't planned to be a voice for anyone, but Grandma had. Once again, she'd known exactly what would happen. Brielle showed up at the bakery 3 weeks after the article. I was frosting a cake when I saw her through the window. She looked smaller somehow, less confident. She came in, stood at the counter, didn't say anything for a long moment. I read the article, she finally said. Okay. I didn't know. about the cancer, about how much you were there for her. You could have asked. You could have called. I know. Her voice cracked. I was, I was jealous, I think, of how much she loved you, how much time you spent together. It was easier to dismiss you than admit I wasn't there. I set down the piping bag. What do you want, Brielle? I don't know. Maybe forgiveness? Maybe just to say I'm sorry. I studied her face. She looked sincere. Broken even. I can't forget what happened, I said quietly. How you laughed. How you all treated her like a bank, and me like I was nothing. I know, but I don't hate you. I just don't trust you, and I don't know if I ever will. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. She left. I didn't stop her. Some things can't be fixed with apologies. A year after Grandma died, I hosted a small memorial at the beach house, not for my family, for the people who actually cared about her. Her book club friends, her neighbors, the nurses from the hospital who'd treated her with kindness during chemo. We shared stories, ate food I'd made from her recipes, laughed about her terrible jokes and her stubborn independence. Helena came, brought flowers and a bottle of wine. She'd be so proud of you, Helena said. I hope so. I know so. I worked with Rosalie for months. She talked about you constantly, about how smart you were, how kind, how strong. She said you didn't see it yet, but you would. I wiped my eyes. I'm still figuring it out. That's the point. She gave you the foundation. You're building the house. By sunset, everyone had gone home. I sat on the porch alone, watching the waves, holding Grandma's note in my hands. The paper was worn now, creased from being folded and unfolded so many times. If they're laughing, they've already lost. Follow the recipe. Trust no one but yourself. She'd been right about everything. They had lost. I'd followed the recipe, and I'd learned to trust myself. The second year was easier. The bakery was thriving. The rental properties were stable. I'd paid off my student loans and started a savings account that actually had money in it. I also started a fund, the Rosalie Cross Foundation, for grandchildren caring for elderly relatives. Small grants to help with expenses, legal fees, medical costs. Because I knew how lucky I was to have the resources, the documentation, the support. Not everyone did. The first grant went to a 22-year-old girl taking care of her grandfather with Alzheimer's. Her family had abandoned them. She was working 3 jobs and failing. The look on her face when I handed her the check made everything worth it. Why are you doing this? She asked. Because someone did it for me. And because your grandfather deserves to be cared for by someone who loves him. By the end of the year, we'd given out 15 grants. Helped 15 families stay together. Grandma would have loved it. My aunt reached out once more. Email this time. Lena, I know we're not on good terms, but I wanted you to know that I've been in therapy, working through a lot of things. My therapist helped me understand how much I took your grandmother for granted, how I saw her as a resource instead of a person. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted to acknowledge what I did, and to say I'm sorry, not because I want something, just because it's true. I read it 3 times. Part of me wanted to delete it, to keep the wall up. But another part, the part that sounded like Grandma, reminded me that holding grudges only hurts the person carrying them. I wrote back, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I'm not ready for a relationship yet. Maybe someday, but not now. She responded, I understand. Take care of yourself. And that was enough. For now. On the 2nd anniversary of Grandma's death, I baked her favorite cake. Lemon with cream cheese frosting. I took a slice to the cemetery, sat on the grass beside her headstone. Hey, Grandma. It's me. The wind rustled the trees. I like to think it was her answering. I did it. Everything you wanted. The business is good. The foundation is growing. I'm happy. Really happy. I paused, tracing her name on the stone. I miss you. Every day. But I'm not angry anymore. I understand why you did it the way you did. Why you made me work for it. Figure it out. Fight for it. The cake was perfect. Sweet and tart and exactly right. You knew I needed to be strong. That I couldn't just be handed things. You made me earn it. Not the money. The confidence. The belief that I deserved good things. I stood, brushed the grass off my jeans. I love you. Thank you for everything. Walking back to my car, I felt lighter than I had in years. The note sits framed on my desk now. I look at it every morning, a reminder of where I came from, what I survived, what I built. If they're laughing, they've already lost. Follow the recipe. Trust no one but yourself. People ask me sometimes if I regret how things went. If I wish we'd found a way to share, to compromise. I don't, because compromise would have meant giving up what Grandma wanted. Her final gift. Her protection. She knew they'd fight. She counted on it. Because she also knew I was strong enough to fight back. The money was never really about money. It was about teaching me that I mattered. That my time, my care, my love was worth something. That I didn't have to shrink myself to make others comfortable. The note wasn't just instructions. It was permission. Permission to be strong. To stand up. To claim what was mine. And I did. 5 years after Grandma died, I married someone who understood. His name was Cameron. He'd lost his grandmother too. Watched his family fight over scraps while forgetting to grieve. We met at a support group for people dealing with complicated estates. Bonded over terrible lawyer stories and the guilt of feeling relief when it was finally over. He proposed on the beach, in front of the house Grandma gave me. She'd like you, I told him. How do you know? Because you're here. You showed up. That's all she ever wanted from anyone. The wedding was small. Close friends. Helena. The book club ladies. People who mattered. Brielle sent a card. I appreciated it. Didn't invite her, but appreciated the gesture. My aunt sent flowers. No note. Just flowers. I kept them. Displayed them at the reception. Because forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's choosing not to carry poison. The foundation grew. We gave out over 100 grants in 5 years. Helped families fight legal battles, pay medical bills, stay together. We also started a legal clinic. Free consultations for elderly people wanting to protect their assets from predatory family members. Helena volunteered. So did 3 other lawyers who'd read the article and wanted to help. Your grandmother would be amazed, Helena said at our 5th anniversary gala. She'd probably tell me I was making too big a deal of it. No. She'd tell you she always knew you could do this. The gala raised $300,000. Enough to expand, to help more people, to make a real difference. I gave a speech that night. Talked about Grandma. About the note. About choosing to honor someone's memory not with tears, but with action. She left me a note, I said to the crowd. Just a note. Everyone laughed. Thought it was nothing. But it was everything. It was her final lesson. That value isn't in things, it's in intention. And her intention was to make sure I knew my worth. Standing ovation. Tears. Hugs. But the best moment came after. A young woman approached me, crying. My grandmother died last month. My family is fighting over everything. I found your article. It saved me. Gave me hope. I hugged her. You're going to be okay. I promise. 10 years later, I sat in the same kitchen where Grandma had filmed her video. I was filming my own now. For my daughter. Just in case. Hi, sweetheart. If you're watching this, I'm gone. And I want you to know something important. I smiled at the camera, hoping she'd see the love in my eyes. Your great-grandmother taught me that family is action, not blood. That showing up matters. That protecting the people you love sometimes means making hard choices. I held up the note. Still in its frame. Still perfect. This note changed my life. It taught me to be strong, to fight, to believe in myself. And now I'm teaching you the same thing. I set it down, looked directly at the lens. Whatever happens, whatever you face, remember this. You are enough. You are strong. And you deserve every good thing that comes to you. Don't let anyone make you feel small. Don't let anyone tell you that caring makes you weak. Tears now. Happy ones. I love you. More than anything. And great-grandma Rosalie? She loved you too. Even though she never got to meet you. This house, this life, this love, it's all part of her gift. Honor it by being exactly who you are. I stopped recording. Saved the file. Put it somewhere safe. Just in case. The note hangs in my office now. Beside it, a photo of Grandma and me. Beside that, a photo of my daughter holding her first birthday cake. for generations, all connected by love and intention. People still ask me about it sometimes. The woman who inherited a note and turned it into an empire. I always correct them. I didn't inherit an empire. I inherited a choice to honor someone who honored me. The bakery is still thriving. We've opened 3 more locations. The foundation has helped over 500 families. The rental properties support it all. But more than any of that, I have peace. Because I know what Grandma knew, that wealth without love is empty, but love with intention can build something that lasts forever. They laughed when she left me just a note, mocked it, dismissed it, thought it meant I got nothing. They were wrong. I got everything. The house, the business, the foundation, the life. But most importantly, I got the lesson that you don't inherit worth. You build it. One choice at a time. One day at a time. One act of love at a time. Grandma didn't leave me money with a note attached. She left me a note with a fortune hidden inside. And that fortune wasn't dollars. It was wisdom, strength, purpose. It was her final recipe. Take 1 part courage, 2 parts persistence, a dash of stubbornness, and mix with unconditional love. Bake until golden. Serve with pride. And never, ever let anyone tell you it's not enough. The end.